Hey, what's up guys? Today's video is going to be a little bit different. This is going to be more of an introduction to a series that I'm going to be kind of working on over the next few weeks. And I think it's a lot of information to go over, and it can't be covered by one 10-15 minute video. And to save you guys from an hour-long video, I'm going to kind of break it down into segments. So what I want to discuss is when you should choose pellets and when should you choose slugs. Ultimately, the answer is you can shoot whatever you want, especially if it's accurate. If you shoot, whatever, pick your target. You're shooting pigeon, dove, you're shooting squirrels, prairie dogs like I do. If you shoot any of those in the head, it doesn't matter what you hit it with. It's going to go down right as soon as you hit it. It may flop a bit, but that's it. That's going to be a humane kill. So above all, accuracy should dictate which ammo you use. If you're not accurate, you're not going to be able to pull off long-range shots. At least not with any type of consistency. You might be able to walk one in or shoot 3 or 4 shots, but you're not going to be able to range something, adjust your scope, and take one shot and expect to hit it every time. Even with a really consistent setup, it's hard to do because you have ammo to factor in. Sometimes a dented skirt or a bent slug can make all the difference. So what I want to be talking about over the next, it will probably be a 3-part series. This is the first series here. First part will be just basically an introduction of what I want to get across, and I want to hear what you guys are shooting, and I want to hear what you guys are shooting at. I'd like to know what the majority of you guys' experience are with shooting pellets and slugs. I've talked to a lot of people, and from what I've gathered in the groups that I've talked to, people avoid slugs because they can't get them to tune out of their guns. And if that's the case, there's plenty of pellets like the JSB Hades, there's the Polymags, H&N makes several pellets, and those do great. They're easy to tune for, they perform well on game, and you don't have no issues shooting live targets with those. The people that do group slugs, I don't want to say that they're just happen to be lucky. I truly believe, as I sit here now, gone through all of my slug tunings processes and hundreds of dollars of slugs, that you can buy a setup and dedicate it to slugs and work towards getting it to shoot slugs accurately at a distance, especially if you're going with FX, just because they have dedicated liners and barrels and whatnot for that system. And it's also my opinion that you have to shoot a slug fast. There's going to be a lot of mixed opinions on a lot of this stuff, and I'm just kind of lending my experience, what I've gone through and what my tuning has showed me and what works for me. So for starters, what are the advantages of a slug over a pellet? A JSB Hades pellet performs great out to 100 yards. They're very accurate, they're very consistent, same with the Polymags. I did some ballistic gel tests in 22 caliber at low power. I think the velocities were down in the mid 800s. And the Hades pellets in 22 cal and the Polymags both did great. I think they created a 1.5 inch cavity, 1.5 inches wide in the gel, and 2.5 inches, I believe, is what the Polymags did. And I'll leave a link to that video in the description if you haven't seen it. So if pellets perform so great, why would you need to switch to slugs? Well, in my opinion, and for my reasons, if you're going to shoot long range and have any kind of consistency, a slug will outperform a pellet. Now, when I say outperform, I believe there's 2 benefits to having an accurate slug tune and being able to shoot slugs accurately. One, the higher ballistic coefficient that a slug has is, in most cases, it's 3 times higher than what a pellet is. That higher ballistic coefficient is going to allow you to have less wind influence, and it's going to give you a flatter trajectory over a longer distance. It means it's going to have less drop, and the wind is going to push that slug less than it pushes a pellet at the same distance in the same conditions, just due to the shape of it. So that's your one advantage, is if you're shooting conditions or long range, your slug is going to defeat the elements better. The second advantage is a well-designed slug should and will expand way better than what a pellet will. If you guys have watched any of my videos in the past, you know I really love the varmint knocker slugs. They're not the only slug that expands. There's several of them out there. And when a slug expands like that, you're transferring a lot of energy to your target. I've shot all calibers of slugs at prairie dogs. I've shot 22, 25, and 30. And I've made long range. Just recently, you guys haven't seen the video yet, but I've been doing a lot of filming lately. I was in northern New Mexico, and I killed a prairie dog with a 22 out to 190 yards, and it dropped him right on the spot. You guys will see that footage here in the next week or two. And it was a 22 grain varmint knocker slug going a little over, I think it was going 1,030 feet per second, and hit the prairie dog in the chest, dropped him backwards, and he was out, belly up. You don't need to have a 30 caliber if you're shooting slugs for small game. Now, I wouldn't recommend shooting a 22 grain slug at a coyote, at 100 yards. That's when your heavier weight projectiles come into play. But for small game to medium sized game, I'm going to call this airgun game. We're not talking deer or nothing like that. But a fox, coyote, you can easily use 25 caliber. Sometimes a heavier weight 34 grain 22 caliber will do just fine. The reason I say that you can shoot 22 caliber out to long distances like that, if you have a soft slug that expands like the varmint knocker or like the Patriot javelins, those are the best I've tested, and I test in ballistic gel at multiple velocities. Not only do these slugs perform the best at low speeds, which translates to shooting far. So if I have my gun's shooting them at 1,040 feet per second, that's great. Your gun might not do that, but by the time my gun gets out to 300 yards, 250 yards, it's still going fast enough for that slug to expand. That's why I have such fast tunes, and that's why I like shooting fast tunes, because I can reach out farther, and I know my slug's still going to perform like it is up close. So, when it comes to shooting those types of game, on like small game, like I've mentioned, 22 caliber expanding out to that distance is going to hit harder than a pellet passing through the target. Yes, a pellet will put your target down, and it's not going to expand like a slug, but it's not designed to. What I'm getting at is a 22 caliber slug will perform better in most cases at long distance when you have a well-placed shot than a 25 caliber pellet. The slug just transfers more energy. It dumps all the energy, almost all of it, on the small game if you have a good expanding slug like a varmint knocker or the Patriot javelin. So those are my thoughts on why you should choose slugs. You got the better ballistic coefficient, which is going to make it easier to shoot in the elements, and when you hit your target, you have more forgiveness because of the damage dealt to the target. It's going to be greater when you use a slug, even if it's a smaller caliber slug. So, in most cases, this is another reason why I want to hear you guys' setups. I'd like to hear what you guys are shooting, what type of animals you're shooting, and what type of pellets, what speeds, what guns. I like to hear all that stuff. And other people go through and look through the comments as well, and that you might help somebody else out knowing what posting what you're shooting. So it might give somebody else perspective on what else they can use or what other options. You don't have to use what I'm using, and I'm in no way saying that that's my way or is the best way or whatever. I'm just trying to lend some perspectives and some things that I've learned over the course of tuning. I have shot prairie dogs out to 100 yards, and I've shot 30 caliber, 25 caliber. I've also shot 22 caliber, but not out to that far. And when you have a well-placed shot, either the head or the chest, they work just fine. It puts animals down on the spot. Obviously, the Hades or the polymags are going to outperform your standard domed pellet with no hollow point or nothing. But even with the standard domed pellet, like the real popular one is the 18 grain for 22 caliber. Those are very accurate out of a lot of guns. And if you shoot something in the chest or head, more than likely it's going to go down. If it's pigeon, squirrel, prairie dog, rabbit, whatever it is. And if you're shooting 25 caliber, I was recently out with another gentleman. He had the FX Impact Mark III. He had us tuned for the JSB Mark II heavies, the 34 grain pellets. And he made humane, ethical shots out to 130 yards, I think, was his farthest. And that's where accuracy played a big key. If you're able to hit something in the head or the chest consistently, you don't quite need the extra expansion. It's if you got that excellent shot placement. So there's two sides to the coin here, depending on how your setup it works for you. But for me personally, I like shooting the slugs. I'm able to get tunes for them. And for all my rifles, even the short barrel rifles, I found slugs that work for them. And for me, I really like shooting them over pellets. But that being said, I can tune for pellets probably in a third of the time that it takes me to work up a good slug tune, and then to verify it a few days in a row, just to make sure that all the settings have stayed, nothing's changed, nothing went screwy, and I think I got my tune, and the next day I take it out to shoot and I can't hit nothing because the tune changed. So pellets are much easier to tune for. and slugs can be difficult. But that being said, like I said earlier, I believe if you have the proper setup, you can definitely have the intention of buying it for slugs and get what you're looking for in the end, is a good shooting slug gun. So I'm going to keep this one kind of short and to the point for this. This is kind of an intro. Later on in the next couple of videos, I'm going to be showing you guys some kill shots. I've got several slow motion shots lined up, a couple into the gel, and I want to show you guys the difference of energy transfer between pellets, a pellet and a slug, and also a slug that doesn't expand. You can tell the difference when you hit something like a prairie dog or even a rabbit in slow motion, and I've got several good slow motion clips to show you guys the difference, and you guys will see what I'm talking about, the force that a slug imparts compared to a pellet. And also I want to show some of the long range consistency and some windage effects when it comes to comparing the slugs to pellets. Shooting in the same conditions with similar rifles, one shooting pellets, one shooting slugs, and you can see how much the wind affects one over the other. So please leave me your guys' setups and ammo choices and game that you like to shoot with them, and your average shot distance in the comments. And when we go over the next video, I want to talk a little bit about some of the feedback that I got from you guys, and throw it into the little info series here that I'm going to be going over. So that's it for the video there. I use 128 gigabyte. If you guys aren't familiar with memory card size and how much film it'll hold, I've got two full 128 gigabyte memory cards. They're completely full of just scope cam footage from the last few days. I was up in southern Colorado, and with another gentleman on a 4-day camp. We were camping out of the tent, and we went out shooting every day, pretty much all day. And we bagged a lot of prairie dogs with various rifles at various ranges. I've got a ton of footage from that. I've got a ton of footage from northern New Mexico, where I got the chance to hunt on a very beautiful area. I got some nice drone footage to show you guys as well. And I've also got another hunt coming up this weekend, back up to northern New Mexico for some more prairie dogs. So I've got a lot of footage to come, enough to last well into the winter. And it should be some pretty cool footage. So if you guys haven't subscribed, definitely stay tuned if that's the type of videos you like to see, because there is going to be a ton of them. So we'll wrap it up there. Please don't forget, leave me your comments in the comment section. I would like to see what all you guys are shooting, and also let me know if you've had good luck with slugs or not. Like I said earlier, what I've heard from people who don't shoot slugs, it's because they had too much trouble with them, and slugs ain't cheap. Pellets are a lot cheaper. So let me know, and I'll see you guys again. We'll pick up where we left off in the next video with some actual video clips of these pellets versus slugs and performance on live targets. So I will see you guys then. Thank you guys for watching.